I mentioned earlier that all the published opinion polls have been discouraging for the coalition. That means, of course, they've been very encouraging for the Labor Party. Here's what Anthony Albanese had to say about those very optimistic polls today.
I am focused on May 21 and that election timetable. We're focused on May 21 on getting there, but we're also focused on the next election as well. I'm focused on an agenda that's achievable, an agenda whereby we can point back and say we promised you a better future and we're delivering it.
There he is, doesn't want to really talk about the polls, doesn't want to get ahead of himself, Anthony Albanese there. Let's go now to Cameron Milner, a former Labor Party strategist. He's with Next Level Strategic Services now. Thanks for joining us again, Cameron. Tell us about the pressure on both leaders at the moment when the polls, there's all sorts of polling around, but you can draw a broad conclusion from them and say that they're all good for Labor and they're all worrying for the coalition.
Oh, absolutely, Chris, they are. And let's just look at what the Ipsos said, what news polls said. I believe Labor's got a lock on 7 seats already. Labor's actually got a majority in its own right. It's going to get Leichardt, Brisbane, Reid, Chisolm, Bass, Boothby and Swan. So there's the 7 seats, already won. Everything after that, in terms of where Labor heads to, is majority government for Labor from here on in.
Now, are you basing that on published opinion polls or on some private information?
Both extrapolation of the vast amount of public data that's out there, but also the conversations we're having in our line of work with clients and with people who know what the internal party polling's also saying in those seats as well.
Yeah, I don't think the published polling does that. It says all those seats are in play, but I mean, you couldn't give Boothby, for instance, on the published polling. There's stuff that's come out through the Australian lately. This YouGov polling seat by seat. This is highly experimental polling, and you wouldn't want to be banking on that. But
it is.
There's no doubt that the Labor is in a position where they can be talking about the possibility of forming a majority government. You seem convinced that's what will happen. They won't be stuck dealing with independents?
Not now. I mean, the momentum is Labor's way, and you can see the confidence that Albo's now got. I mean, the wind is in his sails now. In the first debate, you and I talked about it. I said he would wipe the floor with Scott Morrison, and he did. Last night, he used Scott Morrison as a polishing cloth on the winner's trophy.
Jeepers, I think he's getting ahead of himself. I don't know that he wiped the floor with ScoMo. He made mistakes in the first 2 debates. He didn't make a clear mistake last night, I don't think, but he did try and turn his old mistake, yesterday's mistake about wage increases. He tried to polish that one up, as you say.
And look, why wouldn't we talk about wage increases for the lowest paid? That's a great thing for Labor to be doing. That's actually a big policy, and I love seeing it.
Yeah, except that what he said was the wrong thing to say, and he knows that, and that's why Jim Chalmers and others haven't said it. Was economically reckless, and he'll never say that again. He'll never say that the inflation rate should dictate a decision of the Fair Work Commission, I wouldn't think. But tell us about what
he'll argue for wage increases for.
Yeah. So does everyone. So does everyone. But tell us about the downside then. I mean, what about they don't get Boothby? What about they only get 1 seat in Western Australia? What about the coalition wins Gilmore and Lingiari? Where is Labor going to get this clutch of seats they need if the coalition can pull it back a couple of points from where it is now?
And that's what my column in today's Australian said, which is that if the coalition does manage to pull back the momentum that Labor's got at the moment, it does start to tighten up, and seats like Karanga might come back into play, seats like McEwen, seats like Dunkley, where these are these outer suburban seats where Daniel Andrews isn't popular because he locked down tradies for so long. So yes, there is a path to victory for Morrison, but as we stand, all the momentum is with Labor, and as I said, Albo's got real confidence, his tail's up. It's great to see him delivering some really big ideas with an agenda and a mandate for government.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to hear how bullish you are on this, but I think there's a bit of spin in that, right? Because I would obviously concede that the polls haven't shifted, but to say there's momentum to Labor is such an exaggeration. There's been no momentum from either side in this campaign. What's happened is that Anthony Albanese has gone from mistake to mistake to mistake, but according to all the published polling evidence, it doesn't seem to have hurt him.
It isn't. It's an inside the beltway conversation because people are comparing Anthony Albanese to Scott Morrison. So as Albo wins votes, Scott Morrison is losing them. That's why Josh Frydenberg hasn't got a Scott Morrison billboard up the size of the ones he's got in his own electorate of Kooyong. He doesn't want to be seen with him.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Thanks for joining us again, Cameron. I look forward to catching up with you
Thank you very much, Chris.
next week for at least one last chat.